Rachel, and this is Recovery Daily Podcast. Today, I'll be talking about ever-growing freedom from self. I've always felt that I had a positive attitude throughout my life, but when I got sober, I felt like I had a change of attitude, and it's like the positive attitude runs much deeper, like a sense of value. I had a deeper understanding of that lack of control of people, places, and things. So I also, by starting my sobriety program and focusing on myself and starting to resolve a lot of these character defects that you're able, when you're looking inward, what you're able to start identifying. Once you're able to start removing that, it's much easier to move out of myself and towards others, to be a human being among human beings. And it may sound kind of corny, but like having a grasp of the fact that we are all sharing this earth together, and not how I can make myself feel better, but how I can make others feel better. So this freedom from self really comes for me from starting to focus on other people. And to do that, or once I started focusing outward instead of inward, just like I've talked about, once you remove a lot of that negative stuff, there's so much more room for joy. And in the same way, once I removed a lot of that stuff that I had just was stuck in my craw, that I had to just keep looking at, I just kept looking at things about my character and what I had done in my life, and just what I had kind of not amounted to, and not, but yet not doing anything about it, not taking any action. So in my program, there are steps that you take action to make changes. And once I was able to start making changes to better myself, I was able to, and almost unconsciously, noticing what's important to the people around me. And once I was able to just start being a little more aware of what was important to others, I started to be able to have more, I think, nurturing conversations that, nurture my relationship with people, because I'm not just talking about myself anymore. I'm genuinely interested. So not just saying the words, noticing that somebody, anything from, oh, she gets her nails done all the time, I should ask her about her nails, or he has a son, I should ask him about his son. Not just saying the words, but actually creating a genuine interest in other people, a genuine interest in what is it about nails that she likes so much. She must really enjoy, um, looking better, and I wonder what kind of hobby she has that has to do with that. I mean, it may sound silly what I'm saying, but you get the point. And same with like somebody who has a child, not just saying the words, but really having genuine interest in, um, oh, he's a father, let's take some time and talk about it. And I really genuinely have been able to do that so much better since I got sober, and I'm able to look outward instead of inward. And so, and I feel like as time has gone on, I've been able to, from my experiences, start sharing those experiences and being more useful to people around me, to be more helpful, um, to give hope. Like I talked about in a previous episode, I have built up so much strength and hope that I have enough to share now. And so I'm doing this podcast because I have two goals. One is because I need to lift myself up. I've been teetering on the edge of depression, and this is a fantastic outlet for me to schedule a consistent time each day that I'm talking about things that are important, just as a human being, much less somebody who is recovering from a stroke and somebody who is a recovering alcoholic as well. So, one goal is lifting myself, and the other is to lift others. I am certain, I am 100% certain that there is at least one person listening to these podcasts that are lifted from hearing them. And I'm certain of that because I'm lifted by talking about these things. And so, one thing that I've learned in my sobriety recovery is that I'm not unique. There is nothing in my life that I have felt or done that I'm the only one in the world who has done it or felt it. So when I say something on here and it makes me laugh, I think I was laughing quite a bit yesterday. It makes me laugh. I know that somebody else finds it humorous as well. That's life. So through my experience, strength, and hope, I want to lift myself and lift others with this podcast. And I haven't always um, felt this much like I've got excess strength and hope. On any given day or any given minute, I may not feel like I have extra, and I need to borrow some from somebody else. And I've been really, really grateful to have been receiving lots of outreach, and I got a gift in the mail today. I got a candle that was hilarious, and you know who you are, and some self-care stuff. And the other day I got another box with some self-care stuff. And so it just so happens too, both times that I opened those boxes, I needed a little strength and hope from somebody else. So you never know, and that's why it's so important for me to not just seek recovery inside myself, but to make sure that I'm leaning towards others. And that's not, as I'm talking about in this podcast episode, not necessarily am I always giving, but sometimes I need to I need somebody to share some strength with me. But one thing that I was thinking of earlier today, and this is a tiny little God story. I know I don't like to talk about it much, because uh, my God of my understanding is for me and me only, and I don't really feel comfortable talking about it too much. But I do want to share one thing that I did early in my sobriety recovery, um, when I was still having incredible amounts of anxiety and panic attacks and these things. I had to do a lot of public speaking at work, and not just at work, but in my sobriety meetings. And in the beginning, I was really quite nervous to do anything. So, what I did, because of my sobriety program, encourages you to find some sort of higher power. It doesn't have to be God, but something outside of yourself. And so I had always wanted to believe in God, but I was a little embarrassed about it. I didn't really want to talk about it. Kind of like I guess that hasn't changed. But so what I did was I acted as if. And so when I would get ready to present at work or do something that made me nervous, I would actually sit and do this mental exercise where I would pretend, almost like a cartoon, I would pretend that I was sitting inside a pair of hands. So imagine if that was the hands of God or whatever it is. I would imagine that I'm sitting inside a pair of hands because I wanted to be comforted. I wanted somebody or something to carry me through whatever I was about to do. So I pictured myself being carried or sitting in a pair of hands. And I know that's kind of out there, but it was something that I did. And these are times when I don't have a lot of strength and I don't have a lot of hope. And in the beginning, I didn't have a lot of sanity. I didn't have a lot of just serenity and being able to be calm. So, a lot of times, and I still do it, I don't encounter as many times that I am super freaked out and anxious anymore. But when I do, I try to do these mental exercises, and it's really helpful to me. So this is what I was thinking, and here's a little bit of homework for you. So, what would your resume look like if you were applying for the job of being a human being of service to others? So there's either entry level, there's an entry level job for a human being of service to others, and there's a leadership position to be a human being of service to others. So, what would be on your resume if you were applying for that job? What would be on your resume that might be able to put you first, get you the job? So I was thinking through some of these things, and this is what I put together. So one is the ability to observe others. The second is honesty. Now this isn't just being honest with others and not lying, but it's also not hiding things from others. And most importantly, it's how honest am I with myself? Because if I'm not honest with myself, I can't very well be honest with others. So, do I tell myself stories to convince myself of this or that? The next one is the next characteristic I would say is forgiveness. How well do I forgive others? And I have talked about my God box before, and really, my God box I get out when I'm pissed off at somebody. That's what I get my God box out. So, just to recap, my God box is a little tiny wooden box, and it's got some little note papers in it, and a little pen. Literally a little tiny pen. And I write down, if somebody pisses me off, I write their name down on a piece of paper, and I write down let go, let God, and I put the person's name down on the paper. I stick the paper in the box and I shut the box. So this is an action, because I didn't know how to let things go without actually physically doing something. So I do this God box thing. And although it's initiated by me being pissed off at somebody, and although I may have to put that person's name on the piece of paper in the box for a week straight, for 7 days, every day, multiple times a day, in the end, once I'm able to stop putting that person's name on the piece of paper and stick it in the box, that is equal to me forgiving them. So it's allowing me to not just not react towards whatever they did that pissed me off, but it also allows me the time to process what they did. Most likely they didn't do anything to me. It's something that's an internal thing that I had to work out on the inside of me. But after however long it needs to be, once I stop writing that person's name down on the piece of paper, that is where forgiveness comes in. So instead of having reacted to that person and getting in an argument or whatever, which is what would happen, or what it used to happen if I didn't write the person's name on the piece of paper, I get to internally process these things, and it's an experience, and it's interesting. Actually, it's interesting to notice how your feelings towards that person transition over time without you having reacted. And it takes a lot of restraint in the beginning to not react and just write the person's name down. And in parallel with this, I've talked about this, is also to pray for the other person. If you're into prayer, if you're not into prayer, it doesn't matter. You just pretend to pray for the other person. It's the last thing, believe me, it's the last thing you want to do is wish this person well. But you just do it anyway, and you keep doing it, and it works. I don't know. It works. So I recommend it. Anyway, we're talking about our resume right now. So do I listen to people? So this is something that I talked about in another episode as well. I have been practicing another exercise, which is to, instead of, when a conversation is going on, instead of speaking when I think I'm going to add value to the conversation, I pause and I don't talk instead, and I let the conversation go without me. And then what I have found, if I decide minutes later to say what it is I wanted to say, quite often I won't say it. Either one, the subject has changed already, or two, I realize the conversation went in a better direction because I didn't add to the conversation. So how much do I listen? How much do I make excuses for things that I do? I still make excuses a little bit, but I hope that I don't make excuses as much as I used to when I was drinking. I think if you really look inward at why you make decisions. So, for example, my daughter, this is a great example. My daughter played soccer in college, and um, towards the end, right before she graduated, I was not able to go see her soccer games because I couldn't get in the car. I couldn't ride in the car because of my stroke symptoms, and watching the game was really difficult too. That made me nauseous to watch the ball go up and down the field. So why did I say no? I'm not going to go. I genuinely couldn't go. Like, I couldn't go due to health reasons. If I had said no, I can't go, but it was, for I was making an excuse because I didn't want to go. How often do I do that? I don't think I do that much anymore. But I did that a lot when I was drinking. So, do I make excuses? Do I practice acceptance? Do I accept change? These are kind of hand in hand. Um, and then we get into the leadership role. So, the only thing I have here is lead by example. So, would I be able to have someone else who is an intern as a human being of service to others? Would they learn how to do the job by watching me? So, do I lead by example? And then the thing that I think is probably number one, most important, and brings us full circle back to the recovery topic of this podcast, and that is, do I take care of myself? Because I can't be of service to others. I can't do anything for anyone if I don't take care of myself. And I needed to say that out loud today for sure. So, hopefully you enjoy that exercise and see what comes out of that. But as far as my health for today, I felt pretty positive today. I did some yoga, which I haven't done in a really long time. But yesterday I had talked about walking down across the neighborhood to the gym, and I was not able to walk all the way there, and I had to turn around and come back because I wasn't feeling quite right. So I decided today I was going to try yoga because I did yoga for several years, and I enjoy it. And I thought, well, yoga is all about getting your drishti and, staring at one thing. And I'm like, oh, that's perfect for me. Staring at one thing. I do that really well. And that's all I could do. So I did yoga for an hour. And then I did my homework, which is my visual exercises, looking at something 6 feet away from me, and then transitioning to looking at something 13 feet away from me, and going back and forth 10 times, 5 times, take a break, and then 5 times. So everything went well, and then we were eating dinner, and I was sitting at the table, and all of a sudden I felt dizzy and faint, like big time, like almost like I was going to fall out kind of thing. So I had to lay down and focus on releasing that tension in my head and that feeling of dizziness and faintness. And so what I do is almost like doing a meditation, almost. That's what I feel like I'm doing. Just kind of, I've talked about it in another episode, doing that sensory clarity practice. So just imagining my actual, the muscles in my scalp and my brain, and trying to really relax those. And I got so relaxed so quickly that I could feel like that my brain was really tired. And so, just like that feeling right before you jerk when you're falling asleep, you're like so relaxed and you just jerk. That's how I felt. Um, so, what I try to do is so that I don't get upset during these times that I'm struck, that I have these feelings of it feels like regression almost. I am trying to practice acceptance, almost like what we're talking about with being a human being of service to others. Practicing acceptance just in the way that I feel, the way that I feel emotionally, and the way that I feel physically. Because, of course, there's a certain way that I want to feel. I want to not I want to feel as active as I normally am. And I don't feel that way. I'm tired all the time, and I don't, my head hurts all the time. I woke up with a headache today. It's constant. If you can imagine having, not only a headache, but dizziness and all these symptoms like 24 hours a day, unless you're sleeping. That's what the way I feel. And so, what I have to do is try to accept that this is what I am. This is who I am right now. This is what my body is doing right now, and not try to grasp at a feeling, not try to grasp at being feeling active. If I'm tired, I need to accept that I'm tired, because where I've gotten myself into trouble over the past 2 years, up until really majorly in the past 6 months, is grasping for a feeling that I want to feel, both physically and emotionally. So, so what I'm trying to do is just practice acceptance there, and I'm creating goals for myself each day. So today was to do yoga. That was my goal. I did it. But I have goals without expectations, meaning um, I I intend to do yoga today, but I'm not going to be hard on myself if I start doing yoga and I don't feel well and I have to stop, for example. So, also, another idea that I think is important is how I need to realize in the moment that I'm feeling poor that there will be another side to it. Look towards when you're going to feel better. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be right around the corner like it is for me right now. I mean, 6 months, maybe I'm going to feel better. But look towards that. What does that feel like to not have a headache and stuff like that? And so, trusting in impermanence, and I talked about impermanence in another episode. Trust in impermanence. So, there will be bad days, but in impermanence is can be a great thing, in that the bad days will end and the good days will come. And so that's what I have for today. So thank you for listening, and I've been super excited to see additional followers, and it's really encouraging to have people reaching out to me and enjoying the stuff that I'm talking about and rooting for me, because that's what I need right now. I really appreciate it. It's not it's difficult. It's difficult to say the least to just talk about my innermost feelings, and knowing that anybody can listen to them. But it's also, I think, so incredibly healing. And hopefully, maybe there's just a community that will be built from all of this. And I know there's healing in each other for sure. So thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.